there's a thought that I keep running through my head, especially as I am now, well into my third decade of trading. I look for less, I trade less, and I remember I'm only one trade away, one setup away, one good idea away a day from a good session. So I think about less, but better. And I don't think we can do more and better, right? So that's sort of the preface for the setup that I'm going to walk you all through. And that was a morning setup in the NASDAQ. And the idea of the NAS was really simply very much rooted in what I always start with, which is what's the structure of the symbol. And I'm looking at the 5-minute chart. What's the structure of the symbol in the morning? And what are we dealing with? And you can see here, even before the open, going into the open, and even about into the initial balance at 10:30 time, this is a yellow neutral environment. When it is that way, I can look at the short side of the market, whether that be the HPMRs, and I'm able to look at the long side of the market too. If that's something I want to do. The first opportunity that we had was right here, this up candle, just shooting straight up, right on the open, pretty much into the red zone of the hourly price movement range. It was the first opportunity that we had. Seeing that the slow stochastic was up near the high, the 80 level, I'm not looking at a short until I reach a zone. In this case, it's a volatility zone. And ideally, I get close to what would be considered to be an overbought level, right? And if the V-score is cooperating there too, awesome, right? If the V-score is shooting up towards the highs, great, right? But I realize not everyone has the V-score. So let's stick with something that I know most of you have. If you're in the Sector Secrets Mastery or in the futures room, you have the hourly price movement ranges, and you can put a 21K 3D slow stochastic on your chart. So I'm talking about something that most of us have access to, right? And that was it. That was the trade, and it was either to use a sell stop of 10,968 on the minor high pattern, or trading up into the hourly price movement range, which was between 10,985, which we did trigger, but all the way up to 11,026. This entire zone was shortable, and that was the idea here, to focus on this area as we traded up into it. So it's an exhaustion trade. We're fading resistance. We're shorting into a resistance zone. And I was talking about this earlier in Charts and Coffee. A lot of folks ask me about different words that they would associate with resistance. This is a resistance level. Some folks look at it as a ceiling, right? What is resistance or a ceiling? Well, it's sellers. Well, what are sellers? Sellers are supply. So all these words mean the same thing, right? They all mean the same thing: resistance, ceiling, seller, supply. What changes is how we derive these levels. This is, of course, time and volatility. Some traders will use price. Some traders will use volume. Some traders might use some combination of all that and time. This is time and volatility, right? This is exactly what that is. It's a resistance level. It's a ceiling. It's also overbought, right? Slow stochastic, it's overbought. It's sellers, it's supply, however that resonates. And then that's really been the trade ever since. We've scaled out. And then now, this is something else that I wanted to mention. So what's the one idea? Pick one direction. Heck, pick one or two symbols. Pick one setup. Remember that if we're discerning about having a limited number of setups in the morning, let's say in the morning, rather than having an infinity, right, kind of number of I can trade as much as I want type approach, you say, you know what? I'm going to look for the best 3 opportunities. I'm going to look for the best 3 setups in the morning. It's going to force you to be much more discerning about the quality of the setup, as opposed to, well, I could trade 30 times this morning kind of thing. This was my one trade. That's it. Now, that brings me to the last part of being a day trader. Again, day trading is not a strategy for entry. It's actually explaining when we're going to exit. And all a day trade means is, by the time I get to 1600 hours, 4 p.m. Eastern, I'm out. It's just a way of describing that we're going to be flat by the end of the day. That's it. So for me, with what's left of my trade, I'm down to the last quarter of my position, whether that's NQ. By the way, we also set up the December 28 QQQ. We took the 265 or 266 put. All right, so just as an example, a lot of folks ask me, all right, Rog, I get if I was in the NASDAQ, it's $500 for most brokers, $500 initial margin. So that's what I need in my account for each contract. And then it's $20 per point. That math is pretty easy. But what about a 266 or 265 put that I would buy inside the hourly price movement range, right? How does that work? Well, the 265s, as we traded up into that zone, went to $1.15. So they cost me $115 for the 265s. The 266, since it's a put from slightly higher, cost me $1.75 or $175 per option. So now, as we're going into, this is actually 3:08 p.m., as you can see right here. So I'm about 53 minutes from the close, and I'm going to start thinking, as long as we can punch down to lower lows, I'll play these out. But right now, the 266 is trading for $5.67, and the 265s are trading for $4.60. So we got in at that level, and this is where they're trading right now. And I've got to be out, and my exit is really this. I want to be out by 3:50 p.m. Eastern, so 10 minutes before the close. I'm going to offer these out, and at that point, whatever's remaining of that position, I will be flat. That's how I focus on picking 1, 2, maybe 3 good setups a day, working it as best I can. And by the way, not buying and selling, staying short, and as long as the validity is there for the short trade, just stick with it. All right. So I hope that's it for me in the morning today. And frankly, I don't need that much other than that. I'd like to find 1 or 2 of these every day or so, right? And that's how I day trade, the world's most boring day trader. Hey traders, Raghee from Simpler Trading. Thank you so much for watching this video. Be sure to leave a like and a comment below. And remember, subscribe and click the bell icon so you'll get notified of the next update. And when you're ready to join me for live trading, be sure to head on over to simplertrading.com. I'll see you in the next update.